4 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. What if I told you some of the wildest conspiracy theories you've ever heard turned out to be true? From government secrets to medical scandals, these stories will make you question what you know. Today, we're counting down 4 shocking conspiracy theories that the world thought were too far-fetched until the truth came out. Let's get started. 1. MK-Ultra, the secret mind control program. Back in the 1950s, the Cold War was in full swing and paranoia was at an all-time high. The US government was afraid that Soviet mind control techniques would give their enemies an edge. In response, the CIA secretly launched Project MK-Ultra in 1953, an attempt to control human minds using a variety of methods, including drugs and hypnosis. The terrifying experiments. Under MK-Ultra, CIA scientists conducted shocking experiments on American and Canadian citizens, often without their knowledge. They tested drugs like LSD, performed electroshock therapy, and even used sensory deprivation techniques. Hospitals, prisons, and universities became testing grounds. Most victims had no idea they were part of a secret program. The shocking exposure. For years, MK-Ultra was considered a conspiracy theory, something that couldn't possibly be real. But in 1975, government hearings finally revealed the truth. The CIA had been conducting illegal and unethical experiments on its own citizens. The public was horrified, and MK-Ultra was shut down. Yet the program's dark legacy remains one of the most disturbing chapters in American history. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, our next story shows how even medical experiments can turn into terrifying conspiracies. The Tuskegee syphilis study, a medical betrayal. Imagine being told you're receiving free healthcare, only to find out decades later that you were never treated. That's exactly what happened to hundreds of African American men in the infamous Tuskegee syphilis study, which began in 1932. These men were promised treatment for bad blood, but instead the government left them untreated to observe the long-term effects of syphilis. The horrifying truth. For 40 years, these men, many of whom had families and children, were never informed of their condition. Worse, even when penicillin became the standard cure for syphilis in 1947, doctors involved in the study deliberately withheld treatment to continue their research. This was all done in the name of science, but at the cost of human lives. Public outrage and aftermath. It wasn't until 1972, when a whistleblower exposed the study to the media, that the world learned of the government's betrayal. The revelation sparked outrage, leading to changes in medical ethics and new laws to protect human subjects in research. The Tuskegee syphilis study remains a sobering reminder of how vulnerable people can be exploited in the name of science. As shocking as this is, it's not the only time governments have kept the truth in. Our next conspiracy shows that even in the aftermath of war, dark deals were being made behind closed doors. Free. Operation Paperclip, recruiting Nazi scientists. At the end of World War II, the race was on between the United States and the Soviet Union to gain a technological advantage. Both superpowers knew that Nazi Germany had developed advanced technologies, particularly in rocket science, that could tip the balance of power. In a secretive operation known as Operation Paperclip, the US government recruited over 1,600 Nazi scientists to work on American projects. The dark reality of Operation Paperclip. Many of the scientists involved in Operation Paperclip had been key figures in the Nazi regime, including individuals who had committed war crimes. However, the US government saw their expertise as too valuable to pass up. One of the most notable recruits was Wernher von Braun, the mastermind behind the Nazi V-2 rocket, which had been used to bomb Allied cities during the war. Von Braun would later become a leading figure in NASA's Apollo program, helping America land on the moon. The truth comes out. For years, the US government kept the full extent of Operation Paperclip hidden. But as classified documents were gradually declassified, the public learned just how far the government had gone to bring Nazi scientists to the US, sweeping their past under the rug. While the technological advancements were undeniable, the moral cost of Operation Paperclip is still debated to this day. 4. COINTELPRO, the FBI's secret war on political activists. During the 1950s and 60s, the United States was experiencing profound social change. Civil rights movements, anti-war protests, and other activist groups were rising, demanding justice, equality, and an end to American involvement in foreign wars like Vietnam. However, while these movements were celebrated by many, they were seen as a threat by powerful institutions like the FBI. This led to the creation of COINTELPRO, a secret FBI program with a dark objective to spy on and disrupt these movements. COINTELPRO, which stands for Counterintelligence Program, was established under the direction of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. The official aim of the program was to prevent what the FBI deemed subversive activities, but in reality, it targeted anyone or any group perceived as challenging the status quo. Civil rights activists, socialist groups, feminists, and anti-war protesters were at the top of the FBI's list. The government considered these movements dangerous, fearing they would destabilize the nation. Infiltration, surveillance, and manipulation. The FBI's tactics were ruthless. Under COINTELPRO, agents would infiltrate activist organizations, monitor their activities, and gather personal information on their leaders. This surveillance extended far beyond wiretapping and simple observation. The FBI used dirty tricks, including spreading false information, framing activists for crimes, and planting fake news stories in the media. Their goal was simple: to discredit and weaken these movements from within. One of the most famous targets of COINTELPRO was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the civil rights movement. King was subjected to years of FBI surveillance, with agents tapping his phones, following his every move, and even attempting to blackmail him with fabricated evidence of affairs in an effort to tarnish his public image. The FBI was determined to undermine King's influence, fearing his growing power among Black Americans and his strong stance against the Vietnam War. But it wasn't just civil rights leaders. Anti-war activists during the 1960s and early 70s were heavily monitored as well. The FBI would infiltrate meetings, disrupt protests, and even organize counter-protests to undermine anti-war efforts. They viewed any criticism of US policies as unpatriotic and dangerous. The shocking exposure of COINTELPRO. For years, COINTELPRO was dismissed as a mere conspiracy theory. People couldn't believe that the FBI would go to such lengths to silence political dissent. However, in 1971, the truth came out. A group of activists broke into an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, and stole classified documents that revealed COINTELPRO illegal activities. They leaked these documents to the press, and the American public was outraged. These investigations led to changes in how the FBI conducted domestic surveillance, but for many, the damage had already been done. And there you have it, 3 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. From secret government mind control programs to medical scandals and hidden wartime deals, these stories show that sometimes the wildest conspiracy theories aren't so far-fetched after all. It makes you wonder, how many other theories might actually be hiding in plain sight? What do you think? Are there any conspiracy theories you've heard of that you believe might be true? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another video.